Good evening, everyone, and welcome to House of Illustration. My name is Colin Mackenzie. I'm the director of House of Illustration, and I wanted to welcome you to the cultural highlight of all of our years, which is the grand finale of the book illustration competition. And though, of course, I'm incredibly impressed with all those who've travelled the length and breadth of Camden and Islington to get here tonight, I'm particularly impressed by the fact that there are 18 of our 24 long-list illustrators here this evening, reflecting not just that it's a truly international competition, and we've got illustrators from as far afield as Sweden, Poland, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and even Epping, which is very exciting. As most of you probably know, House of Illustration opens its doors as the world's first public gallery devoted to celebrating illustration in all its forms just under 4 years ago. And one of the vitally important ways in which we celebrate illustration is through the commissioning of new work, through the book illustration competition and in a number of other ways as well. And actually, if you have a chance just to look at the works around you this evening, these are works by Lucinda Rogers, and they're part of a new commission funded by the Arts Council. So do have a look at those. They're rather wonderful works. Our involvement with the Folio Society, we've only been open for 4 years. Our involvement with Folio goes back a long time. Indeed, this is our 8th year of the book illustration competition, which we and Folio founded together. And it's an association that we're immensely proud of, because Folio does and continues to do more for book illustration, I think, than any other publisher. I'm sorry to other publishers here, but I think Folio does more than any other publisher for illustration. So in a moment, I'm delighted to be handing over to Folio's art director, Sherry G., who's going to say a little bit more about the prize and the judging. But I just wanted to share with you one of the highlights of my existence every year, apart from this evening, is the fact that for the best part of a day a year, I spend a day in a darkened room with Sherry, who is here at the front, is going to talk in a minute, and unlimited quantities of very luxurious biscuits that Folio lay on. And we're only allowed to leave the room once we have come up with the long list of entrants. This year, undoubtedly reflecting the popularity of Sherlock Holmes, we had more entrants than in our entire history, just over 450. And so we had a day devoted to seeing lots of pipe smoke illustrated, an orchestra of violins, a salvage yard worth of Victorian lampposts. And if you put all the magnifying glasses end to end, they'd cover the area of 2 football pitches or the height of 2 London buses. But reflecting the very high caliber of our entrants, there was nothing like the number of deerstalkers we had feared, which I think shows illustrators' keen observation of the text rather than the myth surrounding Sherlock Holmes. At that moment, there's probably going to be one showing up on the screen which shows the deerstalker, but anyway. I know that Sherry's going to be thanking lots of people this evening, including our fellow judges. I just wanted to say a special thank you to her and also to Vicky, who's there, for being absolutely wonderful and so great to work with. I want to thank Becky there and Amy, who's somewhere around here from House of Illustration, for all the wonderful organisation that they have done. And now I'm going to hand over to Sherry G. from the Folio Society. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Colin was saying, this is our 8th competition that we've run with House of Illustration, and it's been really terrific working together with them over the years, because we both have the same passion to champion great illustration, whether from seasoned illustrators or from new talent. Over the years, we've given away over £50,000 worth in prizes. We've seen student illustrators and professionals alike take the top award, and we've helped launch the careers of many. Not only past winners, but also people from the past long and short lists have gone on to be commissioned by us. And I really hope we can continue to that, and I hope to maybe work with some of the long list that are here tonight. This fierce competition for the 30 or so book illustration commissions that we have every year at the Folio Society. Myself and my colleague, we see hundreds, if not thousands, of illustration portfolios every year. We get emails, we get mail outs, we go to degree shows, and we see agents' books. So the person winning tonight, who's going to be commissioned for our edition of the selected Adventures and Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, will join such alumni as Quentin Blake, Paul Arago, Edward Borden, Dodie Masterman, to mention just a few, together with many of the distinguished illustrators that we've commissioned that are in the room tonight. On reflection, I think it's a very hard thing to work on a commission without any feedback, which is essentially what each entrant had to do while working on their entry. When an illustrator works with us, we discuss with them the scenes they'd like to illustrate and in those, which characters, etc., should be included. And from then on, we see roughs, often more than one for each illustration, showing different angles and viewpoints, all the things that we can weigh up and we can give our opinions on. If historical accuracy is lacking, together with the editor, we can lend a hand and help with research. Where the characterization isn't quite what we recall, we can check the textual description. We'll have been able to say at rough stage that we require more intrigue or action, or a character needs to be more alluring. And all of those questions, the illustrators working on this competition have had to ask themselves. They've had to be their own art director. So I think that the entrants should be applauded for that, for the study, the planning, the research, and the execution that they've put into their work for the competition. Entering any competition, we'd all like to be inside the minds of the judging panel, and being selected for the long list perhaps reflects an approximation of this, that they understood what we were looking for, and that those awarded the distinction of being on the short list perhaps understood it a little bit more keenly. Colin and I spent many hours looking at all of the entries in order to select the long list that you'll see on the screens. And for me, they represent the best draftsmanship coupled with ingenuity. In nearly 500 entries, it's perhaps not surprising that we saw common threads emerging. There were repetitive bindings or similar compositions for the same illustration. And those that we selected for the long list and indeed the short list, they chose angles or scenes that others didn't, and they stayed close to the text, yet their interpretation added fresh insight. I won't keep you much longer. I'm sure you're all dying to know who's on the short list, who's got the People's Choice, and who's tonight's winner is. But before I do that, I'd just like to say a few thank yous. The competition wouldn't be possible without the many fabulous people at both the Folio Society and House of Illustration, who are all in the room and working behind the scenes to make it come together. So thank you, Amy and Becky, and Lucy at the House of Illustration, Vicky, Charlotte, Scarlett, and Melanie at Folio Society, this evening's competition wouldn't be possible without all of you. Thanks to all of the HOI volunteers around the room who are helping make tonight's evening a great success. So thank you for coming. And finally, thank you to my fellow judges, Colin Mackenzie, Olivia Ahmed, is Olivia here tonight? She's not here. From House of Illustration, James Rose at Folio Society, thank you. Last year's winner, Daria Shnikina, and our guest judge, Sherlock Holmes expert, Helen Dorey. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work with you all in choosing tonight's shortlist and winner. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Colin.
So the first award this year is the People's Choice Award, which is in addition to our main prizes. So it's entirely possible that the person who wins this award will be shortlisted, but will be shortlisted as a winner as well, or could even be the overall winner. Democracy, of course, remains a very dangerous and relative concept. In fact, it's interesting, we opened an exhibition on Thursday devoted to North Korean illustration. So, you know, the concept of democracy is one that we just play with very lightly here at House of Illustration. This year, we had an absolutely phenomenal response to the People's Choice. We had over 3,700 votes cast, and there's going to be one of those silences as I turn my pages. The winner of the award receives £100 worth of folio books and gets a free subscription to a free membership to House of Illustration. And I can reveal that the winner of the... Is this the moment that I press the yeah, well, thank you. The winner of the People's Choice Award this year is Svetlana Boyko, who sadly isn't able to be with us because she's in Russia, but we shall be emailing her later to tell her that she's won. And this is her work. And now I'm delighted to be handing over to my fellow judge this year, the renowned Sherlock Holmes specialist, Holmesian expert, I think is the expression that we've been banding around the office, Helen Dorey. Not only has Helen served as a council member of the Sherlock Holmes Society of London, but she's a member of the world's oldest Sherlock Holmes Society, the Baker Street Irregulars of New York, which has a sort of mystique to it that I'm sure she'll tell us more about it later. But anyway, Helen has very kindly agreed to present the rest of the prizes, so I'm now going to hand over the clicker to her. Thank you. Helen, come on. It's the one on the right.
Thank you very much, Colin, and good evening, everyone. It was such a pleasure to be involved in this judging, and I can't echo Colin's words more in a more heartfelt manner. The entries were so brilliant. There were so many new angles on the stories, so many delights in all of them, that it really was an almost impossible choice. I'm feeling very nervous now because I fear that my fellow Holmesians are never going to forgive me and no one's ever going to agree. But anyway, here goes. Our first shortlisted artist is Andy Potts. Many congratulations, and we loved your illustrations. Full of colour and verve, and the cover was tremendous, and I know that you'll enjoy the others. The Woman, so elegant and striking, hideous Hugh Boone, and a very delightful study scene.
Do we want Andy on stage for a photograph? Can we just, sorry.
So congratulations.
Pleasure, thank you.
Well done. And our second shortlisted artist is Andrew Pinder, who I'm afraid is not here tonight. But again, Andrew's entry was, we thought, superb, utterly different to Andy's work, but with this exquisite detail. And look at this glorious Victorian tablecloth and wedding ring and the photograph of Irene Adler and the King of Bohemia. Wonderfully atmospheric. And this was, I think, the only entry that picked up on the scene of a coat thrown into the Thames mud, and then finally a lovely box opened to reveal all sorts of trinkets in the Musgrave ritual. So congratulations to him. And then our next shortlisted artist, I think, is in the room. And that is Eric Frye. Is Eric here? Many congratulations, Eric. We really enjoyed your illustrations. We loved these 50s seats, or that's how we looked at them, and your tremendous collage-like assemblages of objects from the three stories. So congratulations.
Eric, can you come up on stage and we can take
You'll
some
check.
photographs?
Thank you very much.
And well done again. Congratulations. Then our next shortlisted artist is Harry Woodgate, who I think is also here. Well done. Congratulations. Your check. And again, we loved your illustrations, Harry. Really fantastic detail. And we particularly enjoyed the atmospheric opium den. That was one of our favourites of our judging day. Now, our last shortlisted artist can't be with us tonight, and it's Zuzana Kupova. And her illustrations were just something else. We absolutely loved them. I'm not sure they're everyone's concept of Sherlock Holmes, but whatever else they are, they're tremendous fun, full of verve and vigour, and fantastic graphic technique, and I know that you'll love them. I think we sat around eating our delightful biscuits and just, we couldn't stop smiling as we looked at these. I particularly love this. Wonderful. And now I think... And And now I think we come to the winner. And sadly, the winner is not here this evening. And that is Max Lafleur. And we were particularly struck by Max's wonderful sense of mystery. His illustrations are elegant, and they just convey something about the essence of the Sherlock Holmes stories. You have to unravel the illustrations in the same way that Sherlock Holmes is unraveling the various tales. And this one, I think, is brilliant. Just look at those curtains. Some of you will have that wonderful lateral mind which enables you to see immediately that that is the figure of Irene Adler in the curtains. But it's just brilliant. And here, the opium den. And here, a wonderful Musgrave ritual illustration with the tree, the hatch, and the lamp, and so on. They're really superb. And we're delighted that he will be illustrating the book. So congratulations to him. So thank you, and well done again to everyone here who was on that long list, because you all did so brilliantly. Thank you. Congratulations.
And just to sort of echo again, to thank Helen so much for that, and my fellow judges, but also to all the illustrators here who took part. And please do go and congratulate those who won this evening and talk to them about their work. And thank you very much for coming. And please get yourself another drink now. Thank you.